Now, Donald Trump says he's 100% confident in reaching a trade deal with the EU as the Italian Prime Minister was visiting the White House almost as an embassy, if you will, for the rest of the EU. The meeting was cordial, but Giorgia Meloni quickly moved away from uncomfortable topics. Italy, after all, has one of the highest trade surpluses with the US in Europe, and it does not meet NATO's requirements of spending 2% of GDP on defence. Ms. Meloni interrupted an interpreter when the subject of defence spending came up. John Hooper is the Italy and Vatican correspondent for The Economist. John's with me now. What role was she playing today, in your view? Was she there at the behest, in a sense, of the EU, of Ursula von der Leyen?
Not on the behest, I would say. She was there on her own initiative, but she had a long telephone conversation with Ursula von der Leyen before setting off for Washington. And she was very clear at the beginning that she was not negotiating in any way on behalf of the EU, where trade is a competence of the Union and not of the individual countries. And her game plan, it was quite clear, was to get Trump to Europe with an invitation that she said he'd accepted to come to Rome, and there set up a meeting with EU representatives, something that she said he was considering, which is rather different.
Right. The idea that Donald Trump, and again, as he said a million times, that the EU was set up to compete against and to do damage to the United States. Now, clearly, Meloni's not going to agree with that. However, she is walking she is absent Viktor Orban, who is not considered to be mainstream within the EU. At least Meloni is considered to be on the right side of sort of sane within the other members of the EU.
Yes, she is. She's seen as being more moderate than the likes of Orban. And she nevertheless has this ability to get through to Donald Trump. And that was very clear from the mood music during their meeting, in the public part of that meeting. She at one point, though, said something that was really a way of throwing out a line to the president. She said that she intended her goal, rather, was to make the West great again, trying to lure the president into the idea that there is still a transatlantic alliance that's worthy of its name.
I'm grateful to you, sir. John, thank you very much for joining us tonight. We'll talk more because it's a fascinating subject of what's happening within Italy. Thank you.